Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? Okay, so today we have another one of our Be Timeless interviews. This time we're going to have someone from the US again. Is my friend Whitley. She is one of my sister queens from International Miss. See how this is going to go. Hopefully, it's going to go well. But you know, the things that happen in my lives. I never get people to join on the first try, so let's see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So a little bit of I'm accepting again. A little bit of an idea of what these Be Timeless interviews are about. Here we're celebrating the power of resilience and the power of dreams that know no expiration date. Today with Whitley, we are going to talk about things that are very important, and I'm really excited for all of you to get to know her and to get to know what she is going to be talking about. And then sorry for my cats in the background fighting. I mean, it is what it is. Today is the cat theme, clearly. If you haven't seen my stories, go and check them because it's very, very funny to see the song that TikTok had added to my video by itself, in any case. Okay, it says like Whitley cannot join, which means that she's going to join soon. Because it always happens. That's it. And again, I always say something. I'm literally not prepared. Here she is! Yay!
Hey.
How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Like I have the cats here, kind of like having a little bit of like a standoff, and just
I have my puppies right here too.
like all of the animals on the live.
Exactly. Here, I'll show you.
Oh, hello.
He knows
How are you?
like, who is that?
So I introduced you a little bit. I basically said that you are my sister queen from International Miss 2022. That's where we met in New York City. And yeah, I was just doing a little bit of an introduction of what the Be Timeless campaign is all about. And maybe we should start with you introducing yourself for everybody that doesn't know you.
Sure. My name is Whitley Nabintu Marshall. I live between Portland, Maine and Miami Beach, Florida. I served as International Mrs. USA 2022, and that's how we met. But aside from pageantry, my world is kind of a little bit of a lot of things. I have a magazine called Art Love Lifestyle Magazine, and this past year I developed Art Love Lifestyle Attire as well, which is made out of recycled materials of various sorts, both fabrics made from recycled acrylic fabrics as well as recycled water bottles. And so that's been kind of my newest endeavor, but the magazine takes a lot of me. I also have Mind Body Compassion Coaching and the Compassionate Leadership Project. So those have been the coaching I've kind of increasingly done more and more of over the last couple of years as in 2021, I got certified as a personal trainer and nutritionist. But I actually largely do pageant and model coaching. So that sort of ended up taking over while I do still have some personal training and nutrition clients. I ended up sort of veering in a slightly different direction with that. But that's been a lot of fun. And the Compassionate Leadership Project, I launched underneath, I've co-founded a couple different organizations. One was World Roots Culture Exchange, and we co-founded that in 2019 and developed the Compassionate Leadership Project underneath. And within that realm of compassionate leadership comes, I do a lot of trainings around things like nonviolent communication, bullying prevention and intervention, coping and stress management skills and strategies. I do things a lot around cultural exchange and the importance of that in cultural awareness. I know I'm missing things, but those are things that just off some recent workshops that I've done, and and then also around self-compassion and compassion towards the earth. So in 2012, I co-founded Green Initiatives, and so a big part of also the activism that I do is around environmental sustainability and social justice.
Amazing.
Social justice. Thank you.
Amazing. Very complete, very, very interesting projects that you're doing and you're working on. So as I said, we met at International Miss in 2022, but you had already competed for International Miss in the past. And it was kind of like the time that you came back for that title. And in the Big Time, this is all about like achieving dreams and goals at times where, you know, people or the society is telling us like we shouldn't be achieving those goals because it's already past our time or too early to achieve those goals. But also it's about resilience, like trying again. So why did you decide to try again for International Miss, and what did you do differently this second time that you feel it made you successful?
Yeah. So the first year I came, I loved it. I loved the women that I met. I felt like everyone was really down to earth and genuine. I didn't feel any real, like, I guess, like ultra competitive vibes, even though everybody is extremely competitive within the system. But a lot of it, you know, sometimes you have signs of like, oh, okay, like here's kind of where I went wrong. And I personally try to really stay aware for myself to like, okay, what are those signs of like how I can improve, was I lacking preparation compared to some of my competitors, or even just like I had like kind of a nightmare scenario the first year I competed. I left my resort wear in a different bag. For some reason in my mind it made sense to pack it in a different bag, and so I literally had to go up to like 50 flights of stairs in the middle of the show to get my resort wear. And so I still came back and I placed first runner up for the Mrs. title. I was like literally crying for Jackie because I love her so much, and we had met up in Wisconsin actually through that year. So I felt like it was her moment. Like I feel like even before that, I kind of just knew. So the things, I guess, increasingly in my time of pageantry, what I've realized increasingly is instead of trying to fit into the box of what even I was taught as like certain pageant rules, things that judges might be looking for, it was actually, you know, I came to understand a lot, and I feel a lot of value in understanding some of those like rules of ways that certain people had coached me. Things like that. I think it was helpful to know those, but it was actually me letting go of a lot of those rules and stepping further into authenticity and just being like, hey, I'm doing these things. Y'all can jump on the train or you can not. And that's fine with me, like, because I have a plan of how I want to succeed beyond this. So it doesn't, I guess I kind of detached from the outcome also, of just trusting that, you know, I'm bringing my best foot forward. I did try to prepare, and you know, I tried to look for those lessons in all the ways where I was like, oh, okay, definitely pack everything in one bag, you know, show up more authentic to myself. And I really think that also the system in itself led me into that more and more because of the queens that reigned before me. They kind of helped pave the way for authenticity being what you do. It's not just, it's like a requirement, not something that you're like wishy-washy. One thing that comes to mind is I had always been guided by multiple coaches to always cover my tattoos. And because because I have a nice half sleeve here. And, you know, this year or that year, I was just like, I'm coming in fully as myself because there's also something within me that felt like I wasn't showing up as my most genuine self. And that just creates more of an energy, I think, more than anything of, you know, like I know it, and people might not know what that exactly is, because they're not seeing my tattoos. They're not even noticing they're covered or anything necessarily. But, you know, to me, it was like my audience is looking for me to show up as my most authentic self. So if I win that, like, I wouldn't feel like I won fully, genuinely being authentic and true to myself either.
I mean, I remember seeing because obviously the videos of the finals are all on YouTube. I'm watching the finals from the previous year and seeing your walk and then seeing our video of our finals. To me, that it was a completely different person. Like the confidence
I also
on
did
stage.
put a lot more work into just practicing all the time, my walk all the time. And coaching others also helped me notice things in myself. I've always found that with everything that I teach is like when you're breaking things down in a different way for other people to benefit, then you also are taking those things more to heart, or you're realizing them more in yourself too, because you're demonstrating it and trying to demonstrate things the right way, and you know.
Yes, no, absolutely. But yeah, I saw a completely different person in terms of like the confidence as well on stage was completely different. Like you felt relaxed. You felt like, I guess, like as you said, like you felt like yourself because you were not covering, you were yourself, you were authentic, and you could literally see that on stage. And I know one of the things that you wanted to discuss today was beauty and how you're changing a little bit the standards of beauty or the idea of beauty. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. As you know, but maybe some people watching don't fully know, is one of my biggest passions throughout this entire experience of pageantry and stepping sort of more into the fashion realm has been expanding beauty standards. And some of that is through representation. You know, like myself, I had never envisioned myself being successful in pageantry or modeling because of the beauty standards that existed and the boxes that I felt were requirements in order to be in that realm. And but I personally feel that we're really holding ourselves back to appreciating and then fully enjoying and even seeing and understanding the beauty that's around us in everyday life through setting those limitations. So through things, so in my personal realm, just through the magazine, it's really important to me to highlight various types of beauty. Through the magazine, I developed like 4 dominant themes that we have each year. And so it started with beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, the beauty of strength and resilience, diversity, and compassion as being sort of the leading things of how I see true beauty. And so with each seasonal issue, we try to feature people that have beauty within those realms. And actually, timeless beauty. So last year, or might have even been 2 years ago, we did an article on timeless beauty. And, you know, because I personally, like, I would love to see more diversity in modeling of both body diversity, ethnic diversity, but also age diversity. And you know, just representation of all sorts. And inclusivity is a huge passion of mine. And to me, the beauty of the world exists in the differences of our beauty.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, and you are right, because I think we grew up in a generation that you only saw the same type of girls in magazines, And in runways, it was always exactly the same. There was no, I mean, you could see diversity in terms of like ethnicity, but all the same size, all the same height, everything the same. So I think what you're doing is very
height is
important for people to
another
feel,
one.
yeah, to feel
Yeah.
represented and feel seen. Because many times you will be, I mean, I remember myself looking in magazines and saying, oh, those clothes are not going to look the same on me because I'm really short, for example.
Exactly.
Or I'm not that skinny as that model over there. So
yeah,
what you're doing, it's important, and representation is important.
Yeah, I agree. And I felt so similarly. Like for me, I've always had a more muscular, curvy body type. I've been anywhere from a size 2 to a size 18. And, you know, it's at both of those extremes that actually made me really realize that, the beauty wasn't in the size or in an appearance. The beauty lies in more of an inner journey of self-discovery and understanding yourself, and that's what brings the confidence. Because most of the time, I think when you even see people on stage, it's like you don't necessarily know what they hold. Yeah, they've been practicing, they know their poses, things like that. But it's really something that's far more deep and inner, that usually is what is coming out, of why they have that like it factor. And I've also seen that through a lot of the transformations I've seen through coaching in pageantry and modeling is, I really try to have the focus of it, no matter what I'm coaching, being a self-discovery process and understanding yourself better, because that's where like watching those transformations, from the inside out is the most rewarding thing that I think that I like. That's a gift to me every single day that I do it, because you just see people peel back those layers of conditioning from society, peel back things that they thought they had to do that wasn't true to themselves, and then seeing how they can step into a truer version of themselves. So
That's incredible. Like literally what you just said. Just yesterday, I did an interview with a runway coach from Colombia, very famous one, and he was saying just exactly what you just said. Like he works very closely with the girl on their personal development, on their self-love, on knowing themselves, knowing their body before he starts doing any walking coaching with them. And
I love that.
there is not many people out there that have the same approach that you have and that he have, in terms of like, you need to know yourself, you need to discover who you are, you need to be comfortable with who you are before you actually start the basics of catwalk or presentation.
It's really true, because you can learn the moves, but if you're not feeling comfortable in your own skin, people can feel that no matter what moves you're doing.
Absolutely. No, absolutely, because you yourself don't feel comfortable doing it. So you look uncomfortable while you're on the stage or you are on a runway. You feel uncomfortable,
Exactly.
and that kind of like is transmitted to the audience, and that's the last thing that you want the audience to feel, right? Like, ooh, oh no, what's gonna happen now? Ooh. You just want the
Yeah,
audience to be
exactly.
like, wow.
Exactly. Not like, is she sure she knows what she's doing?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love that that is your approach to coaching. I think more people should take notes of what you just mentioned and you just talked about, and start implementing that on their coaching as well.
Thank you. I think, a big part of it is also people taking risks. Like for me, I think stepping into pageantry in itself felt like one of the biggest risks that I could have taken. At the time, I had long locked hair. when I was recruited. I felt like pageantry and the world of pageantry was like the furthest thing. It was like felt laughable to me. But I have a lot of clients that come to me that are like, hey, like I don't think I can be authentic for whatever reason, whether it's a body type, whether it's a, a something going on in their career, something like there's so many different things, but usually it's a fear that's holding them back. And I felt like for me, the immediate things when I was recruited to pageantry that I felt were this doesn't fit me because of the nerve damage in my face, my body type, the type of hair that I have, I could list all of these reasons, like even when it came down to the activism I was involved in, I felt like that was a barrier for me. But when I released those barriers and was like, maybe those are exactly the reason I need to step into this role, is all of the barriers that I think are actually stacked against me. That released something completely new. And that's where I also felt like God or the universe really was like, this is the path I have given you, because people need to see those risks taken, and people stepping into roles that they didn't feel like, where there didn't feel there was a seat at the table. But
exactly.
there is. You just have to understand you are diving into me. Like for me, it's like, okay, I am going into this new world, so I do need to learn a lot about it. But then also finding, okay, what is me and genuine and authentic to me within that world.
Yeah. So how you said you were recruited? Tell me a little bit, like how did that happen? What was your first pageant? Like, I'm interested.
It was on a full moon on my birthday in 2018. I was like, what is happening?
It was fate. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be.
So I'm coming up on my 6-year pageant recruitment anniversary. I was recruited through Facebook. Someone a few years prior had added me to kind of a Facebook group around pageantry, and I was just like, sure, I'll join the group. But I wasn't involved. I just kind of was taking like an observing role. But I do remember clicking, like liking something in the group, and then it was like, I think 2 days later, I got a super long message of why they thought that I would be a good fit for the Mrs. Maine America pageant. Which also, as far as pageant systems, I was like, wow, it's like the most conservative pageant is asking me to come. And I was like, do you know that I'm a fire performer and a belly dancer? Like, I dance at festivals, like almost camping almost every weekend. That was my life at the time, because also it was pre-COVID, because COVID shifted a lot of things as far as my performance life. But I was honestly shocked. I was like laughing about it with my husband, but she's like, hey, let's set up a call. She's like, I know a lot of people are weary in the beginning. Let's just set up a call and I can just explain more details. And like I said, it's like everything that came into my mind was why I wasn't a good fit. But when it came down to it, it was all these fears of things, of ways that,
so much
you.
love.
But yeah, it was everything of why I thought it wasn't a good fit. And then, but it made me also realize that kind of throughout my whole life, I've had things like that where I thought being an artist was a barrier to me having a seat at the table. My creativity I saw as a barrier when I had some of the biggest epiphanies in my life, when I released those fears and released those self-implemented barriers that did, the conditioning of society did play a role of that, of, being teased for being like a weird artist as a child. It's like you dig up all of these like fears from really that root back in childhood. But those ended up being my biggest strengths. It's like being a creative person on all these multifaceted levels has ended up being the greatest. Once I really let go and let myself step further into that, it's like, oh, this is where my gifts lie.
Absolutely.
It's like I've always lived a creative life, but it was when I released those barriers of like why I didn't think, even like parental things of like, you don't want to turn a hobby into a career sort of thing. Some things like that can also hold you back from your biggest purpose and passion. So evaluating those things, taking notes of like, oh, what am I telling myself also? Because when that happened, it's like I was telling myself all of these reasons of why I wasn't beautiful. And that was constructed because of the beauty standards that I had been conditioned to believe. It wasn't, none of that's real. And what it realized is like people are going to love me for whatever decision I make. And there are also going to be people that hate me for that exact same reason. So I just decided,
do what makes you happy.
Anytime I guess I have realizations like that, I'm like, why am I holding myself back? And that's when the greatest things have happened.
Absolutely, because as you said, like there's people that are gonna love you no matter what you do, and people that are gonna criticize you as well. And we shouldn't let those fears hold us back, because at the end of the day, the life that we're living is for us. It's not for other people. And probably we've learned this quite late in life because of the generations, the society that we grew up in, and the kind of like mentality that was like forced upon us. So we've done like, we are kind of like now flourishing more now later in life, and it's good that we are having this conversation, so younger people that are watching this start seeing, as you said, like it's okay if you want to turn a hobby into your career. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let your fears hold you back.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you geared this whole series though toward like being timeless, and then you have I'm forgetting your exact name, but the over 30
females thriving over 30. Yes, because this interview is going to go on the podcast.
I love that because I also think that there's a lot of pressure in our society to think that you have to know everything about where your life is heading in your 20s, and that's really not reality at all. And also, like, there's so many celebrity status people who, they didn't reach anywhere close to some of their goals until their 40s, 50s, sometimes even 60s. And our purpose is always evolving too. So, I love
I've always
that
said,
you're really emphasizing the beauty of people over 30. They're thriving in different ways, and that's really beautiful because it looks so different on every single person. And there's so much emphasis, on like it factor in the 20s, but really, like, to me, like, life has really taken off after 30, so I love that you're emphasizing that.
Yes, I feel exactly the same as you. I felt in my 20s, I felt like I was just not I couldn't catch up. I was always behind. Couldn't catch up. And then on my 30s, I started realizing that, as you said, like actually, that's when my life is starting. I think my 20s was time for living a little bit and making the mistakes and enjoying being younger. And now that I've gone through all of that experience, now I can actually start properly like launching my life, and 30s is still young,
Oh, exactly. How did you break through? Because you had mentioned, height, and being more petite and feeling like that was a barrier. What sort of helped you step through that recognize the fear, and then like you've been unstoppable. So
I mean, I think I've always been someone that when I was younger, like my height, the fact that, for example, I have barely any boobs as well, like that, though that for me when I was younger was a little bit of insecurity, like no, I didn't like the way that I looked because, again, I was comparing myself a lot to what I was seeing on magazines and on TV, and everything that was fed to us like 24/7. And I think it was like reaching 21, when I turned 21, I started saying, you know what? I don't care. I don't care about any of this. I'm happy with the life that I am living. I'm happy with the way I am. If I want to have more boobs, I'll, get some plastic surgery.
yeah.
At the end, I didn't, and I'm really happy. Actually, I don't really want to have any surgery now. But I think it was just like a matter of like something switched in me. I don't know what exactly. I don't know if it's like the people that I surrounded myself with that make me feel beautiful and make me feel seen. That made me realize like, I'm okay. I'm okay the way I am. I'm happy. I put pageants obviously like really in the back burner until 3 years ago. 3 years, no, 4 years ago. When was yeah, in the pandemic 4 years ago, until 4 years ago, that someone again, after like a lot of like repeating and repeating, told me, you need to be in a pageant, you need to be in a pageant. I decided to listen to her and you say, okay, let's go, let's do it, let's give it a try. And here we are now doing this kind of interviews.
I love that. What made you decide to start the series?
Lately, like last year, I started something came to me. I was in a job that I loved. I loved working with my team, but I was not happy with the company that I was working for. And I was kind of like, I cannot leave because I cannot leave my team behind. And at the same time, I've always seen my dad working in the same company. I wanted to be the same thing, like working in the same company until until I retired. And then I realized I'm stressed. My hair is falling out. I'm not happy. I think I need to leave. And having that kind of like internal debate within me, saying like, no, you can't because you're supposed to stay in the same job and just keep growing within the same company. You cannot do that. The kind of things that society always told us, like you need to be in this corporate job and you need to work super hard and you just stay here, until I decided, you know what? No, I need to go for something else. I need to try to find something else. And as you said, conquer my fear of like, I'm going to disappoint a lot of people because I didn't want to leave my team. I'm going to disappoint them. I don't want to leave them. I'm going to disappoint myself in kind of like the views that I had. And I was like, no, I need to conquer my fears. I need to go for it. I did that. And then I started realizing a lot of things that I hadn't done because of fear or because of or kind of like the fear of like not being where I'm supposed to be at 35 now, not where I envision my life to be. It all started with this job, and then I started like reflecting. I was like, oh, by this time I thought that I was going to be here, and I'm not, but I'm actually not unhappy about it. I'm quite okay with being like that. And then I start talking to people and they're like, oh, I feel the same. And I'm like, so why no one is talking about these things? Why no one is giving these visibility, like this kind of conversations, why they are not happening? So I decided to start this series and getting people like you that want to talk about thriving over later in life, or people that have achieved things earlier in life and as well they are facing some kind of like people telling them like, it's too early for you to achieve these goals, like are you sure you're in the right path? And showing people that it's okay to have different paths, that you should be content with the path that you're following and you shouldn't compare your path to someone else's.
That's beautiful. I love that. It's so true too, because I'm just thinking about like people in my life
Mm-hmm.
who I've seen their paths. It's like you can't um, like I would have never predicted some of the paths of some of my friends and how they've come. And every single person that I know who's like gone through trials and challenges, they really needed to learn something from
Yes.
each of those in order to really get them to the where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And even in like the most unpredictable ways, like one of my high school best friends, he moved down south. He was living in Tennessee. He actually was running a restaurant down there, and then
Mm-hmm.
COVID happened, and the restaurant business
Yeah.
completely went under. So he was feeling, one of the most desperate times of his life, and but was asked to help with setting up a uh, like a TV set for something.
Okay.
And his friend, he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go help." And he ended up doing setting up a set for Dolly Parton. And then she ended up loving him and asked him to come back. And so he started regularly being in the background doing sets. And now he's her personal assistant. So it's like you just never
Wow.
know, you know. But like, yeah, it's like he needed to overcome and be in that spot and in the right, it's like he
Mm-hmm.
would have never predicted that, but the skills that he had learned through the trials are exactly what he needed in order to succeed where he is now.
Exactly. And this is what we want to do with these interviews. Like probably like we're gonna be going through challenges and through moments in life where we're gonna question, is this what I'm supposed to be? Or we wanna kind of like throw everything away and say like, okay, I'm done. But those challenges is what they're, as you said, teaching us a lesson that we are gonna need for what our end goal is. And we might not see that coming, but that's
Mhm.
where we are heading. And I've always said that to me, life is like driving on a road and seeing the sign of like road closed in front of you. And then you need to find an alternative route to get back to the road that you were driving on. And we are not
Mm,
happy about having to take that different route, right, to get
right.
there. And we're going to be very pissed off of like, oh my God, this is not what I want it to be. This is horrible. But eventually we're going to get there. And then we're going to reach the destination that we wanted to. So I really want people to, when there is challenge that they're going to face, that they think that way. This is just like a little, rerouting, and I will get back into that road. And if I'm not getting back into the road, it's because I'm not ready to be there yet.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I think like every seemingly negative situation I think I've ever experienced has been the exact thing that has catapulted me to
Mm-hmm.
um, what I needed. So I'm excited for you and your new adventures, though.
Thank you.
What is your next sort of step? You started this. You're freshly out of your job. I'm sure there's stresses and probably magical parts of that.
Yeah, I started a new job actually, better than what I was doing before, and I'm really happy. So hopefully it will go really, really well. And then with this series, we're gonna keep continuing doing them. We have a lot of people that want to be involved. Um, the podcast as well is like launching. So again, if anybody wants to be interviewed for the podcast, if you are over 30 and you have any story of yours to share, please go into the link in my bio. You will be able to know what to see there, where you can apply to be interviewed. If you want to be interviewed for this series, please do so. I'll be so happy to talk to anybody of you, because we can all learn from everybody's stories. And again, the main goal of this is to give a voice to those things that are sometimes not spoken about, for people to feel, okay, I'm not alone. This has happened to this person, and look at her. She's doing amazing. I'm going gonna be great. Or talking about things of like how important it is representation in beauty and in modeling, in pageantry, and in everything. So everybody feels seen and feels that there are opportunities for them and that they can actually reach their dreams.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Whitley, for being my guest. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
For doing this, and it's an honor to talk to you, and I love that we can connect this way even though we're in different countries.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, as this is also going to be in the Female Thriving Over 30 podcast, and they might not see the tag if they are listening to the podcast. How can they find you? How can they find your compassionate leadership, business, and everything like that?
Sure. Well, for me, you can find me either on Instagram or on Facebook as Whitley Nabintu Marshall, which is spelled just like Whitney, but with an L. Nabintu is the hardest one because I lived in Burundi, so that's actually an African name I was given. And but if you search up Whitley N, I'm usually the first thing that comes up. And then, and then you can, any of my Art Love Lifestyle things, it's at www.artlovelifestyle.com. And the /attire, you can find the fashion parts. And then worldrootscultureexchange.org. You can find information about the Compassionate Leadership Project, but it has its own Facebook page and Instagram. So if you just look up the Compassionate Leadership Project, that is usually, it's always the first thing that comes up.
Perfect.
We have a Facebook group too for people who want to join and just see what types of volunteer opportunities are out there, what trainings we offer. Everything that we do is free or towards charity. So there's nothing that you have to buy into to join.
Amazing. So make sure that you follow Whitley, that you go and check the project on the Art Love Life magazine. And thank you so much, Whitley, again. Hope you have a lovely day. And everybody else, have a great day as well.
Yes.
Bye.